The SOS that echoed across the void, approx. 770 words, third person, simple English, the stars above the mining world of Karnal were calm. The workers below were not. It had started as a normal day. Diggers drilled into the rock for plasma ore. The guards watched the scanners. No one expected trouble. Karnal was far from the core systems. It wasn't a rich world, just a small outpost. Then the sky cracked open, black ships, silent and strange, came through the clouds. No warning. No radio calls. Just beams of fire that turned steel into liquid. Within minutes, the outpost was in flames. The miners ran. Families screamed. Shields failed. One by one, the towers fell. Inside a damaged control room, a young alien named Town fought to send out a signal. His hands shook as sparks flew from the panel. Please, he whispered, voice breaking. Anyone, help us. He pressed the red emergency key. A final pulse of energy shot into the sky, a signal of absolute desperation. Marked red level in every known language. Then the roof collapsed. Thousands of light years away, deep beneath the surface of a dead moon, a human relay station buzzed to life. It hadn't made a sound in decades. The man inside the station, Luke, nearly dropped his mug of coffee when the screen flashed red. He stared at the symbols. The words on the screen read, Class Omega alert, live civilian extinction in progress, immediate response IQUESTED. Luke blinked. Where did this come from? He muttered. He opened the signal log. No return address. But the frequency, it was old. Very old. From before the treaties. From before the silence. He tapped into the data stream and played the raw audio. A voice, young and scared, echoed in a dozen languages. Please, we are dying, help us. Luke's face turned pale. He hit the hard link key. Sending to Earth defense. Now. On Earth, the defense command sat deep under the Andes Mountains, silent and cold. That changed when the signal arrived. Red lights blinked. Old systems activated. Somewhere, deep in the planet's crust, the vault of the Deathworlders unlocked for the first time in 50 years. A voice played across all Earth command channels. Unknown signal. Omega class request. Sender, civilian. Threat level, annihilation. Generals stood from their chairs. Admirals stared at each other. One figure walked to the center of the room. An old soldier with a scar down his jaw. He looked at the signal, then turned to the holographic star map. The mining colony was marked. Small. Forgotten. No military value, but Earth had its rules. No call goes unanswered, the man said quietly. All around him, systems roared to life. Satellites woke. Engines warmed. Docked ships opened their cores. The silence was over. In orbit, hidden inside a black docking bay, the massive battleship Obsidian stirred. This was no ordinary ship. It was a Deathworlder class prime, designed for one thing, extinction war. For 50 years, it had been locked in sleep, waiting. Watching now, its engines hummed, cryochambers unlocked with a hiss. Humans stepped out, taller, stronger, and scarred from endless training. They didn't speak much. They didn't need to. These were Earth's answer to war. These were Deathworlders, back at Defense Command. Screens showed reports from deep space. The Council hadn't responded. The big alien empires had seen the SOS and stayed silent. Some called it politics. Some called it fear. Earth called it cowardice. The man with the scar, Commander Ronan, watched the data stream. If we wait, they'll be erased, he said. One officer whispered, it's just one colony, sir. Ronan turned to her. His voice was sharp. That colony screamed loud enough for us to hear it. That makes it ours. He turned to the screen. Launch the fleet. In the blackness of space, the fire chain activated. 10 massive Deathworlder-class warships lit their cores. Thousands of fighters lined up behind them. They didn't fly with banners. They didn't ask for orders from the Council. They burned toward the stars with one goal, answer the call. The galaxy had forgotten what humans were. Peace had made them quiet. Treaties had put away their war machines. But now Earth was awake, and Earth was angry. Earth's forgotten weapon wakes up. Approx. 770 words, third person, simple English. The ship Obsidian moved through the darkness like a ghost made of metal. It didn't hum. It growled. The armor around its hull was dark gray, built to absorb light. On its side was a symbol no other world dared to use, a red skull over a broken planet. The sign of Earth's Deathworlders. Inside the ship, thousands of soldiers walked through wide metal halls. They were silent, disciplined. Some had cybernetic arms. Some wore powered armor even during travel. All of them had one thing in common: they had trained for the kind of war the galaxy thought was gone forever. In the command chamber stood Commander Ronan, tall, calm, and sharp-eyed. He watched the holographic map as the fleet spread like fire from the Sol system. Around him, officers gave updates in short, direct words: all jump engines charged. 10 battle groups aligned. Orders confirmed: seek and destroy. Ronan nodded. Good. He walked up to the main console and placed his hand on a scanner. A soft glow surrounded his palm, then a voice filled the room: Commander confirmed. Obsidian unlocked. Authority granted. That voice wasn't human. It belonged to AVA, the ship's artificial brain. She had been asleep for 53 years, Ronan spoke. AVA, wake the fleet. Confirmed. Full Deathworlder protocol active. Shall I engage the fire chain? Ronan answered, light it. Across Earth's outer space defense grid, a coded signal was sent. It reached hidden stations buried inside Mars moons. It reached the dark shipyards floating behind Saturn's rings. The fire chain was a last resort measure. No other civilization had anything like it. Earth had built it during its most dangerous time, when extinction seemed close. It was a series of connected war units, each holding thousands of human elite fighters, robotic tanks, planet burners, and deep core nukes. All of them now came online. The Deathworlders were not just one group, they were a network of controlled monsters, trained to protect humanity with absolute loyalty and unimaginable violence. Back aboard Obsidian, Ronan stepped into a sealed chamber marked Archive. The room had only one object, a black cube glowing red at the edges. Inside it were the last known files from Earth's war with the ancients. He touched the cube. A flash of blue light lit up his face. The files appeared, one by one. He whispered to himself, so it's them again. The ancients had been gone for hundreds of years. No one truly understood what they were: machines, gods, something in between. They had once burned 1,000 systems before vanishing. The only force that had ever stopped them, humans, but now, after all these years, a signal with their pattern had been detected. And the burning of that mining colony. It matched their tactics. Ronan clenched his jaw. If they are back, then we end it this time. Meanwhile, the rest of the fleet prepared. In the launch hangars, human mechs stood ready, taller than buildings, armed with railguns and plasma blades. Troops tested weapons. Drone swarms buzzed, ready to deploy. A young soldier named Devon, just 18, checked his gear with steady hands. He had grown up in peace, but trained for war. Beside him, a grizzled veteran patted his shoulder. First drop. Devon nodded. Scared? Yes. The old man grinned. Good. Means you're human. The loading doors opened. The stars waited. Back on Earth, the planetary network watched the fleet vanish into deep space. The news was silent. No broadcasts. No public alerts. This was a quiet war. Just like the last one. Only the leaders knew. Only the old veterans remembered what humanity had once unleashed on the stars. And what they were about to unleash again. In a dark room, the Prime Overseer of Earth's Defense Council stared at the final mission note from Ronan. It read only one sentence: we will answer them, loud enough for the galaxy to remember. Hours passed, then came the first report from the Deathworlder scouts. The alien colony, Carnal, was gone. Not just destroyed. Erased. The surface was glass. No survivors. No signs of normal energy weapons. No known species left that kind of mark, but deep under the wreckage, a strange energy signature pulsed in short, repeating bursts. AVA translated it. We have returned. Ronan didn't speak for a while. Then he turned to his officers. We are not here to save survivors, he said. We are here to stop extinction. He stepped forward and gave the order: set course for the signal source. Maximum speed. No delays. And with that, Earth's deadliest fleet jumped toward the unknown star. The first strike and the silence that followed, approx. 770 words, third person, simple English. The stars grew darker as the human fleet pushed deeper into uncharted space. These were dead zones, places marked on old maps as avoid sectors. No signals. No life. Just cold silence. Commander Ronan stood on the bridge of obsidian, arms crossed, eyes locked on the screen. They had followed the strange signal from the destroyed colony. It led to a shattered system once known as Jella 3. It used to be a research hub. Now, nothing orbited the star but debris and dust, yet, AVA spoke in her calm, artificial voice. Signal located. Origin point, artificial structure inside asteroid field. No known registry. Ronan raised an eyebrow. Any life signs? Negative. But movement detected. Mechanical. The fleet approached carefully. 10 Deathworlder ships formed a ring around the core. Fighters spread out like steel birds. All weapons were armed. The silence made it worse. Then, from the center of the asteroid field, something moved. A massive black shape emerged from the shadows. It looked like a ship, but it had no engines, no lights. It drifted forward slowly, like a corpse being pulled by gravity. Scan it, Ronan ordered. AVA responded. Structure matches partial data from ancient war records. Surface armor unknown. Energy levels rising. The screen lit up in red. Warning, hostile activation. Before anyone could react, a thin white beam shot from the center of the black ship. It struck one of the outer guard ships, Falcon Spear, right through the core. There was no explosion. No sound. Falcon Spear just disappeared. The crew on Obsidian stared in shock. Ava's voice came again. Falcon Spear terminated. 0 debris detected. Probability of dimensional weapon, 87%. One officer gasped. They didn't fire a missile, they erased it. Ronan's voice remained calm, but steel hard. Return fire. The sky lit up. Obsidian's forward cannons glowed with energy. Long-range plasma torpedoes were fired from 5 human ships. Railgun shells tore through the darkness. Missiles screamed toward the enemy ship. They struck. Direct hits, but the black ship didn't move. It absorbed the damage like a sponge absorbs water. Then it started to change. Its surface shimmered and shifted. Sharp points grew. Weapons unfolded like claws from its sides, and then it multiplied. 2. More shapes rose from the shadows. Identical. Silent. Huge. Ava's voice came again. Unknown enemy type confirmed. Origin, likely ancient. New units detected. Advise, retreat or tactical overload. Ronan didn't blink. Retreat is not an option. Give me full firepower. In the battle that followed, humans struck with everything they had. Deathworlder ships danced around the enemy, firing non-stop. The mechs inside drop bays locked in and waited for ground missions that would never come, because the enemy had no ground. The enemy didn't bleed. Didn't break. It adapted. 1 by 1, the smaller ships began to fail. Obsidian held the line, shielding weaker units, but even its armor began to crack. On the screen, one alien shape started pulsing with light. AVA translated the energy signature. New command pattern detected. Preparing for mass strike. Estimated. Target, Earth. Ronan's voice dropped. Not on my watch. Then he gave the order that made the whole fleet pause. Prepare the core cannon. It was Earth's last resort weapon, buried inside Obsidian. It wasn't meant to disable. It was meant to erase anything within a sector-wide radius. Using. It risked the ship itself. Officers hesitated. Ronan stepped forward. Do it. Inside Obsidian's lower deck, massive energy cells began to unlock. A huge cannon unfolded from the belly of the ship, long, black, and glowing with red cracks. The charging sound was deep and monstrous, like the roar of a volcano. AVA spoke again. Target locked. Firing in 10. 9. 8. The enemy ships turned to 5. 4. A new signal came from the black ships. This one wasn't a weapon. It was a message. 3 words, we remember you. 1. Firing. The cannon unleashed a beam so wide it split the darkness in half. Stars dimmed. Light bent. The core of the enemy ship glowed white, then cracked. Open like a broken egg, the other two enemy shapes were hit by the shockwave. One shattered into burning pieces. The last tried to retreat, too late. It was over in seconds. Silence returned. AVA whispered, all targets destroyed. No remaining signals. Radiation spreading. Suggest relocation. Ronan stared at the burn zone ahead. So they do remember us, he muttered, then he turned to the rest of the fleet. This was just their welcome. Find out where they are coming from. And so the Deathworlders pushed deeper into the unknown, hunting the ghosts of an old war. Earth thought was over. The hunters become the hunted. Approx. 770 words, third person, simple English. The battle site burned quietly in the black of space. Pieces of the enemy ships drifted like ash in a cold wind. The human fleet circled the wreckage cautiously, weapons still armed. Commander Ronan stood on Obsidian's bridge, eyes fixed on the glowing remains of the enemy. This wasn't their real force, he said. It was a scout. AVA confirmed, her voice quiet and mechanical. Evidence suggests these units were remote. No central control. Purpose, test humanity's reaction. That thought made the crew uneasy. Earth's most powerful fleet had lost ships to just a test. Behind Ronan, his second-in-command, Lena, spoke up. Sir, we recovered data from one of the destroyed enemy cores. It's not natural. The code is old. Pre-digital. Patterned after organic memory. Ronan turned to her. Like a living brain. She nodded. Yes. But ancient. Primitive. And angry. He looked back at the stars. So they are not just machines. They are echoes of something worse. Later that cycle, the Deathworlder scouts sent ahead a signal, unknown structure detected, the report read. Size, city level. Location, edge of dead systems Alan, 7. Surface scan, partial life signs. No known species. The fleet changed course immediately. As they approached the dead system, strange interference clouded their senses. Static pulsed. In patterns like whispers. Some crew members reported hearing voices they couldn't understand. Devon, the young soldier, sat quietly in the barracks, his gear strapped on tight. Beside him, the veteran from earlier leaned in and said, You feel it, don't you? Devon nodded slowly. Feels like the air is watching us. The man grinned without humor. That's what war with ancients feels like. You're not hunting them. They are waiting. Obsidian reached orbit above a grey planet covered in jagged mountains and black clouds. AVA scanned it and confirmed multiple energy spikes beneath. The surface, shielded, this wasn't just a hideout. It was a command point. They are building something, Lena whispered. Ronan stared at the readings. Or waking something up. He gave the order. Planet fall. Full strike teams. Clear and scan every level. I want answers. Deathworlder dropships burst from the fleet and entered the dark clouds below. The storm raged as the dropships descended. Lightning struck metal, but they didn't turn back. These were not ordinary soldiers. Devon's boots hit the ground first. The planet's surface was sharp, black stone. The air smelled burnt. The sky flashed red behind thick clouds. In the distance, huge towers of metal rose from the earth like broken bones. The human squads moved fast. Each team had heavy armor, drones, scanners, and mechs on standby. The goal, breach the nearest structure. It didn't take long to find an entrance. A tall gate, sealed with strange markings, opened as soon as Devon approached it. He stepped back. I didn't touch it. The old veteran beside him raised his gun. They are waiting for us. Inside, the halls were dark and cold. The walls pulsed faintly, like veins. The architecture was wrong, built for something not human. And everywhere, whispers. AVA relayed audio from every helmet at once. Strange noises, clicks, broken words. But one message repeated clearly, return. 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 It wasn't a warning. It was a call. As the team moved deeper, the power inside the structure began to rise. AVA reported from orbit, energy. Spike detected. Device activation. Suggest immediate withdrawal. But before the order could be given, a massive tremor rocked the planet. The central spire lit up with red cracks. The surface split open, and from beneath the ground, something began to rise. A ship.no, a living machine. Bigger than any human warship. Shaped like a dagger pointed at the sky. Its surface writhed with moving metal. Back on Obsidian, Ronan stared at the screen. What is that? AVA answered with something no one expected. Classification, the Harbinger. Warning, this unit was recorded in Earth War archives, last seen during the fall of Vega Prime. Lena gasped. That was over 400 years ago. Ronan. Didn't wait, fire all orbitals. Hit it now. The fleet unleashed a rain of fire, cannons, missiles, orbital beams. Everything struck the rising enemy, but the machine absorbed it. Its surface changed, adapting to each hit. Then, in a terrifying moment of silence, it looked up. It had no eyes, but every soldier, every pilot, felt the same thing. It had seen them. Then it released a blast of pure energy. One Deathworlder ship, hollow. Night was torn apart in one shot. Ronan clenched his jaw. Pull the ground teams. We can't lose more to curiosity. But it was too late. Down below, Devon's squad was trapped, and the Harbinger had turned toward them. Planetfall of the monsters, approx. 770 words, third person, simple English. The Harbinger towered over the battlefield. It rose from the shattered surface like a god built from metal and rage. Its long limbs stretched like blades. Its body glowed with shifting lights, symbols from a time before language. It did not roar. It did not move with fury. It simply advanced, step by step, with perfect, terrifying calm. On the ground, Devon and his squad ran for cover behind a broken wall of ancient steel. Dust and smoke filled the air. He gripped his rifle tight, hands shaking. What is that thing? He gasped. The veteran with him, Ward, growled. It's not a machine. It's a memory made real. A pulse of energy blasted through the sky. The ground trembled as chunks of land lifted, floating in the air. Several Deathworlder drop pods exploded mid-flight, shredded by unseen forces. From orbit, Obsidian fired again. A direct hit struck the Harbinger's back. The beam broke against its armor like water against stone. Inside Obsidian's command deck, Commander Ronan watched grimly. Ava's voice echoed around the room. Harbinger systems regenerating. Primary weakness, unknown. Recommend full evacuation of surface teams. Ronan shook his head. We don't run. Not again. He pointed to the central holomap. Drop the Black Spear teams. Full deployment. Lena looked at him. Sir, those are Earth's last resort squads. We don't even use them during planetary invasions. Ronan's face was like stone. This is no invasion. This is a reckoning. Within minutes, dozens of large, black pods launched from orbit. Each one carried a monster. Not alien. Not machine. But human, Deathworlder elites, born in low gravity and trained in survival pits. Enhanced bones. Accelerated muscle density. Minds wired for reaction time. These soldiers were Earth's nightmare gift to the galaxy. The moment they landed, the ground shook from their impact. One of the Black Spear captains, a tall woman with a mask over half her face, stepped into the battlefield. Her voice was cold and calm over the team's channel. New mission, delay the Harbinger long enough to charge the orbital cannon. No survivors expected. Let's make it count. They moved in unison, fast, deadly, fearless. Devon and Ward saw the first of them arrive. What are those? Devon asked, stunned. Ward gave a small, proud grin. That's what Earth sends when it's done being polite. The Black Spear team didn't use normal weapons. Each one carried massive close-range hammers, charged blades, and explosive gauntlets. They weren't meant for distance, they were made for contact, and that's what they did. 5 of them charged straight at the Harbinger, leaping from rocky cliffs and steel wreckage. Their strikes were brutal, timed to perfection. One managed to pierce the creature's leg with a gravity spear. Another climbed its arm and planted a core charge. It exploded, sending fragments of glowing armor in all directions, but the Harbinger didn't fall. Instead, it adapted. Its limbs shifted. New armor plates grew. Its body learned. 1 Black Spear soldier was grabbed midair, crushed, gone. The team did not pause, they fought harder. In orbit, the charging process for the core cannon began. AVA warned, planet will not survive full charge. Estimate, 9 minutes until atmospheric collapse. Ronan stood firm. Pull the fleet to outer range. But hold the ground teams. Lena frowned. They won't make it out. They know. Down below, Black Spear Leader Tarn, her full name never recorded, stood on a burning ridge, staring at the Harbinger. Her armor was cracked. One eye glowed red from damage. She opened her comm to all Deathworlders still alive. I'm making one last push. Get clear. Devon and Ward heard the message. Ward grabbed Devon's shoulder. Time to go. But Devon started, no buts. You'll see worse than this if you keep fighting for Earth. But only if you live. They ran as Tarn screamed into her MIC, now. Tarn sprinted up a ridge and leaped. Her gauntlets glowed bright. She landed on the Harbinger's neck and drove both arms deep into the shifting metal. It tried to shake her off, but she held on. She triggered the final charge. A blast ripped through its upper core. The Harbinger screeched, not with sound, but with a mind-breaking signal that echoed through every helmet, every radio, every ship. Then it collapsed to its knees. The sky turned red. On Obsidian, AVA gave the final alert, cannon ready. Fire on command. Ronan gave the order. Fire. The core cannon fired a beam of white gold energy directly at the planet. The ground tore open. The Harbinger's body vaporized in light. The mountains melted. The sky vanished. Devon and Ward barely made it to an evac ship. The planet died, but humanity survived. The enemy folds, but the real threat reveals itself. Approx. 770 words, third person, simple English. The world of Zalan, 7 was gone. Where the Harbinger had once stood, there was now only a drifting field of ash and molten rock. The fleet hovered at the edge of the blast zone. Silent. Watching. Waiting. Inside Obsidian, Commander Ronan stood before a display showing energy levels slowly fading from the remains of the dead planet. His arms were crossed, jaw clenched. Around him, no one spoke. Even AVA paused before breaking the silence. The Harbinger has been destroyed. No remaining signals from the surface. However, a new data stream has begun transmitting from deeper space. Lena turned, surprised. From where? Unknown. Origin, the dark sector beyond council-mapped space. Signal code, ancient. Language, incompatible. Ronan frowned. So they were just the beginning. In the medical bay, Devon lay strapped to a healing unit. His face was pale, his arm wrapped in regeneration foam. Across from him, Ward sat quietly, sharpening a blade with a worn stone. Devon blinked weakly. Did we win? Ward didn't look up. We survived. That's not the same. Devon nodded slowly. What was that thing? It looked alive. Ward stopped sharpening. Because it was. It's not just metal and wires. They grow those things, like we grow crops. Like we grow soldiers. But they don't make them for defense. He looked over. They make them to erase memory. Devon frowned. What do you mean? Every Harbinger that appears does one thing, Ward said. Wipes out a culture. A planet. Then vanishes. No trace. No stories left behind. Just silence. Back. On the command deck, AVA processed the new signal. What it uncovered shook the crew. Decoded message partially recovered. Translation follows. You woke the fire. We remember your war. Now we answer. Ronan listened quietly. They were waiting for us, he said. Not hiding. Waiting. Lena looked uneasy. But why now? Because someone screamed loud enough, Ronan replied. The SOS. The colony. That wasn't a mistake. It wasn't an accident. It was bait. Lena's eyes widened. You think someone lured us here? Ronan nodded slowly. Yes. And they wanted to see if humanity would still fight. He looked out at the stars. Now they have their answer. Suddenly, AVA lit up with a new alert. Long-range fleet detection, 57 vessels entering from the outer dead sector. Energy readings unstable. Match ancient class. The Display filled with dozens of icons, each one marked red, Lena gasped. 57. AVA corrected. And growing. Current estimate, total enemy fleet size exceeding 100 war-class entities. One by one, the icons grew closer. ETA, 3 days. The bridge went cold. Ronan looked around at his officers. We are not prepared for this. Not yet. He turned back to AVA. Send a priority signal to Earth. Begin Stage 2. Back. On Earth, deep under the Andes, Defense Command received the signal. In a sealed chamber known only to a few, a hidden vault opened. Inside were sealed orders created during the First Ancient War. They read, in the event of a confirmed Harbinger return, enact the Genesis Protocol. The order was simple: unleash Earth's last creations. 3 hours later, Earth's black site bunkers began to open. These weren't warships. They weren't soldiers. These were beings made from gene-warped stock, born on the worst parts of Earth, lava zones, pressure trenches, and chemical swamps. The world called them Titans. Earth had kept them hidden since the last war. Too powerful. Too unstable. But now, Earth needed monsters to fight monsters. One by one, the Titans rose from cryosleep. One by one, they opened their eyes. Meanwhile, in space, the Harbinger fleet continued to grow. Obsidian's crew watched helplessly as more enemy vessels appeared. From nowhere. Like shadows crawling out from the edge of time. AVA gave a grim update: the enemy is forming a wall. Purpose unknown. Position in front of a deep gravity well. Coordinates indicate location of an ancient megastructure. Ronan stared at the data. They are protecting something. Lena whispered, or hiding something. Suddenly, all enemy ships stopped moving. A transmission came through. No voice. No sound. Just a single visual. A hologram. Of Earth, burning. Ronan's face hardened. So that's your answer. He turned to the bridge crew. Tell Earth to prepare for full galactic war. The enemy remembers us. His voice grew cold. Now let's make sure they remember why they feared us. Asterisk. The message back to the galaxy, approx. 770 words, third person, simple English. The galaxy had grown quiet again, but not from peace, from fear. The Harbinger fleet hovered in deep space like a wall of ancient steel and nightmares. Each ship pulsed with strange red energy. Together, they blocked a region near the galactic edge, an area long forgotten by the Council. At the center of it all, deep within a gravity well, was something even more dangerous: a gate, not just a wormhole. Not just a portal. This was a gateway built during the first rise of the ancients. A backdoor to anywhere, Earth, the Council core, even beyond the edges of known space, and the ancients had begun to activate it. Onboard Obsidian, Commander Ronan stood in full armor at the head of the command deck. Behind him, every Deathworlder ship stood ready, engines charged, weapons armed. Across the galaxy, Earth's Titan protocol had completed activation. 13 Titans, giant, living weapons, were now aboard the fleet, asleep in cryochambers. The fire chain had been reforged. Every colony, outpost, and station now fed energy and supplies to the front line. Earth was no longer silent. It was preparing to roar. A final council message arrived that day. It came from the high speaker of the Yenthos Empire. The voice was shaky, uncertain. Earth Command, we see what's coming. We ask you, stand with us. Fight beside us. Protect what we could not. Ronan didn't answer right away. Lena glanced at him. You're going to ignore them. He replied calmly. They ignored a cry for help when a small colony begged to live. They watched it burn. He stepped forward and opened a secure link to the Council and to any species still listening. Ronan said, voice sharp like a blade, we are not here to bargain. We are not here to forgive. We are here because someone cried out. And Earth always answers. Then, the final assault began. The human fleet charged toward the Harbinger wall. The black ships responded instantly, unleashing waves of pulsing energy, antimatter beams, and gravity torpedoes. But the Deathworlders had learned. They danced through fire like hunters in a storm. Obsidian opened with a beam so bright, it carved through 2 enemy vessels in one blast. Fighter wings looped through tight spirals, dodging impossible shots, unloading coordinated payloads directly into exposed cores. And then the Titans dropped. Each cryopod, larger than a destroyer, slammed into enemy vessels like meteors. The creatures within tore themselves free, arms stretching. wide. Some had armor that grew with them. Others had claws that sliced hulls like paper. One Titan let out a roar that shattered every window on a nearby Harbinger ship. On the surface of the enemy gate station, a final squad of Deathworlders landed. Among them was Devon, now promoted after surviving 2 battlefronts. He no longer shook. He no longer hesitated. Beside him was Ward, still calm, still sharp, moving like a ghost through wreckage. The 2 of them planted the final charges on the gate's energy pillars. You ever think would be here? Devon asked. Ward chuckled. I didn't even think would be alive. They both looked up as the sky turned red. The gate began to open. Ava's voice filled Obsidian's bridge. Gate activation at 87%. Once open, full-scale enemy movement expected. Timeline, under 5 minutes. Ronan didn't wait. Fire everything. If we die, they die with us. The Deathworlder fleet unleashed its final barrage. All weapons. All fire. All fury. Every beam lit the blackness with white-hot wrath. The gate cracked, then collapsed. The blast was so powerful it shut down sensors for 5 seconds. When vision returned, half the Harbinger fleet was gone. Floating wreckage and silent echoes remained. Only one Harbinger ship survived. It turned and ran. Silence followed. AVA scanned the area. Enemy retreat confirmed. No pursuit. Ronan gave the order. Let them run. Let them remember. Back on Earth, a new beacon was lit. It wasn't a warning this time. It was a message. A pulse broadcast across all known space, on every frequency the ancients had ever used. It said, this galaxy does not belong to the fearless. It belongs to those who remember the cries of the weak. And when they scream, Earth answers. Always. From that day forward, the stars changed, not because the war was over, but because the galaxy now knew the truth. Humanity had not gone soft. It had been patient, watching, waiting, and when the time came, the Deathworlders returned and nothing was the same again. Asterisk.